I remember just scrolling through my phone one night, half bored, half procrastinating, when I saw this video of some young guy named Iman Gadzhi. Looked like any other self-made millionaire flexing on YouTube. But then I read the caption. Dropped out of high school at 17. Now runs a $30 million marketing empire. And I'll be honest, my first thought wasn't, wow. It was, yeah, okay, let's see. But the deeper I looked into his story, the less it felt like some clickbait headline. Iman wasn't some rich kid playing entrepreneur with daddy's money. This guy started with nothing. Just a fire under his feet and a bone to pick with the education system. And somehow, in just a few short years, he went from struggling teenager to the guy who teaches thousands how to build 6- and 7-figure businesses. So here's what happened. Here's how a kid with no degree and no safety net decided he was done following rules and built his own empire instead. I first stumbled onto Iman Gadzhi a few years ago. Just another name floating around in that sea of how to make money online videos. You know the type. A flashy title, a few quick cuts, maybe someone posing next to a rented Lambo. But something about him felt different. He wasn't trying to be loud just for attention. He had this calm intensity like, hey, I've actually done the work. Now let me show you what I learned. So I clicked. And what started as casual curiosity turned into a deep dive. The more I listened, the more I realized this guy wasn't just another YouTube marketer trying to sell a dream. He was someone who had clawed his way out of a situation most people don't make it out of. With nothing but a secondhand laptop, sheer obsession, and a chip on his shoulder the size of a house. He grew up in South London. Not exactly the backdrop for startup fairy tales. No generational wealth, no silver spoon. Just a single mom busting her back to keep the lights on. And even from a young age, you could tell Iman saw the world differently. He wasn't interested in school for the sake of checking boxes. He'd sit in class thinking, why am I analyzing Shakespeare metaphors when I could be learning how to run a Facebook ad? That's not arrogance, that's clarity. And honestly, most people never get that kind of clarity, let alone at 16. And here's the part that really stuck with me. While his classmates were busy worrying about test scores or weekend parties, Iman was working night shifts in a freezing cold warehouse, stacking car parts just to make ends meet. Let that sink in. He was still a teenager. And instead of coming home and crashing, he'd stay up late, eyes glued to his screen, watching tutorials on sales funnels, lead gen, and media buying like his life depended on it. Because in a way it did. He was obsessed, but not in a trendy hustle culture kind of way. I mean really obsessed. The kind where you forget to eat, where you lose track of days, where you fail, adjust, fail again, and keep going like quitting was never even an option. And it wasn't, because for him, there was no backup plan. Eventually, all that late-night grinding started to click. He pitched his first client, a small local gym, and they actually said yes. They gave him a few £100 a month to manage their Instagram and run ads. It wasn't life-changing money, but the belief it gave him, that was priceless. Because it proved something not just to them, but to him. That thinking differently wasn't just valid, it was valuable. And that tiny win, that lit the fuse. From there, it was like watching someone speed run the entrepreneurship game. Iman didn't just try things, he engineered them. He launched IAG Media from his bedroom with zero fluff. No funding, no office, just a gritty determination to figure it out. He was cold emailing businesses at scale, recording custom video pitches for yoga studios, real estate agents, dental clinics, anyone who might listen. This guy's 18 and explaining ad performance better than people running million-dollar accounts? He wasn't surface-level smart. He was deep in it, understanding the math behind copywriting, analyzing heat maps, A/B testing call to actions. I'm talking about the boring stuff that actually gets results. And that's why it worked. IAG Media didn't blow up because he followed some viral hack. It grew because Iman treated his agency like a science lab. Every client campaign was an experiment. Every result, good or bad, was logged, analyzed, refined. He didn't take wins for granted. He studied them, scaled them. And what blew my mind even more? He did all of this while still barely out of high school. No degree, no fancy mentorship circle, just YouTube tutorials, books, trial and error, and this relentless commitment to execution. It's easy to think, Oh, he got lucky. But luck doesn't write sales copy at 2 a.m. Luck doesn't split test ads for a local dentist who's breathing down your neck about ROI. Luck doesn't build systems, templates, onboarding docs, CRM automations, and then teach others how to do it too. That's not luck. That's labor. Smart, intentional, repeatable labor. And that's when I realized I wasn't just watching a kid build an agency. I was watching someone reshape what success looks like in the digital age. Someone who didn't wait for permission, didn't care about fitting in, and didn't apologize for thinking bigger than the world told him to. And before long, he wasn't just booking clients. He was building systems, hiring a team, and running a full-on agency. This wasn't some side hustle anymore. It was a machine, and he built it from scratch. But here's where Iman did something genius. He realized that running an agency was great, but teaching other people how to do it? That's where the scale was. So, he launched his first course, six-figure SMMA. And no, it wasn't filmed in some fancy studio. It was shot in his bedroom, probably with a pile of dirty laundry just off camera. But that didn't matter because the content was gold. He wasn't selling hype. He was selling what worked. Step-by-step strategies, real scripts, actual results. And people loved it. The testimonials started pouring in, college kids closing clients, bartenders quitting their jobs, high schoolers landing $2,000 retainers. That's when he knew he was onto something way bigger. The course evolved into Agency Navigator and then into this entire learning platform, Grow Your Agency, Educate.io. It became more than just a program. It was a launchpad for people who wanted out of the rat race. And I watched in real time as it exploded. Now, this part is hard to explain unless you've seen it yourself. Iman didn't just build a business. He built a culture, a tribe. You could feel it. People tagging him on Instagram when they signed their first client, posting screenshots of Stripe payments, sharing photos from Airbnbs in Bali while managing client campaigns from their laptops. It was like this whole underground movement of digital rebels, and Iman was the guy who lit the match. I even joined a few of the private communities myself, and the energy, it was electric. Everyone was leveling up, holding each other accountable, sharing client wins, offering feedback. I saw guys go from $0 to $10,000 a month in under 90 days. Not because they had it all figured out, but because they were surrounded by people who believed it was possible. That kind of culture doesn't come from slick marketing. It comes from authenticity. And whether you liked Iman or not, you couldn't deny the momentum he was building. Of course, not everyone was on board. You don't build a brand that loud without attracting criticism. People started throwing around the usual words: guru, scammer, overpriced. And yeah, I get it. When someone's showing off watches and cars, it's easy to assume it's all for show. But what always stuck with me was how he handled it. He never claimed his programs were easy. In fact, he openly said, most of you won't make it unless you actually put in the work. And honestly, that's true. Some people bought the course, did nothing, and then blamed him when they didn't see results. I've seen it happen a dozen times in other industries too. But Iman never shied away from it. He'd jump on live streams, respond to tough questions, refund unhappy students when needed. That kind of accountability is rare in this space. And sure, he's cocky, but it's not empty cockiness. It's built on execution. That's a big difference. Now, if you've seen his Instagram, you know Iman lives large. Designer clothes, G-Wagon, penthouse views, you name it. But here's the part most people miss. The guy's insanely disciplined. Like, wakes up before the sun, disciplined. Cold plunges, journaling, meditation, no alcohol, no partying. He fasts for focus, tracks his productivity by the hour, lives by a calendar that would make a Navy SEAL blush. And the reason I know this isn't just for show, because you can see it in his results. The consistency, the content output, the way he moves through projects without burning out. He's not just trying to live rich, he's trying to stay sharp. And in a world full of people flexing for social media, that kind of intentional living stands out. But what really sold me on who he is, what really changed how I saw him, was what he's doing behind the scenes. Iman's been funding schools in Nepal for years. He doesn't brag about it. It's not some flashy PR move. It's just something he does, quietly, consistently. And for someone who dropped out of high school, that's powerful. So if a 16-year-old high school dropout can build a $30 million empire from his laptop, what excuse do the rest of us have? If you found any part of this story inspiring, hit that like button. Share this video with someone who's stuck in neutral and needs that push. And if you've got your own hustle story or you're just getting started, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Catch you in the next one. And remember, your dream life isn't handed to you, it's built. So start building.